In this video, I'm going to give you an introduction to transformational geometry. I'm going to talk about reflections, translations, and rotations. I'll start with reflections. I'm going to reflect this triangle, and when you reflect a triangle or an object, you need a line of reflection. You're going to need a reflector, and then you place your reflector along that line of reflection. And as you look in your reflector, you can see the point C. I'm going to label it C prime. B, I'll label it B prime. And A, I'm going to label it A prime. And then I'm going to take my ruler and connect those 3 points. That's an example of a reflection. The only thing I can do to make that a little bit harder is to perhaps put the line of reflection right through the object. And in that case, what you'll do is reflect A and B over here and point C over there. So again, with my reflector, I'm going to reflect points A and B. Call that B prime. Call this point A prime. And then turning the reflector around and looking in it the other way, I'm going to reach around and mark this point over here, C prime. And then I'll connect those 3 points. And we've reflected that triangle around that line of reflection. Next, I'll talk about rotations. Sometimes a rotation is called a turn. In this example, we're going to take this triangle and rotate it 60 degrees about the point P. P is called a center of rotation. And to do this, you're going to need a piece of tracing paper. And you can see I've already traced my triangle on the tracing paper. What I would suggest you do is turn the tracing paper over and make a little rubbing on each of the 3 vertices with your pencil. You'll see why I'm doing that in just a minute. Alright, I've got my triangle, it's traced. It does say to rotate it 60 degrees, so let me see if I can measure that 60-degree angle. I'm going to draw a ray from P that goes through the point A. And what I'll do is measure a 60-degree angle, and I'll rotate A the 60 degrees. So here's my simplified protractor. Every wedge is 15 degrees. So I'm going to lay my protractor on there. That would be 15, 30, 45, 60 degrees would be right about there. Make a little notch and draw in that angle of 60 degrees. And now with my tracing paper, what I'll do is rotate this triangle, but keeping my eye on point A and pencil on point P. And do you see how I'm beginning to rotate that triangle? What I want to do is rotate that triangle. I think I'm going to make this line a little bit longer. Because I'm going to rotate that triangle until point A lands on that line. See? Point A has now traveled 60 degrees. Okay. Press a little firmly on those 3 vertices, and because we have pencil rubbings, that should leave a mark for you. And what you'll do is take your ruler and connect those 3 points. Point C has traveled 60 degrees, point A has traveled 60 degrees, and point B has traveled 60 degrees. As A rotated, the whole triangle rotated with it. In this example, you can already see that the triangle's been rotated. I can verify that with my tracing paper. I'm going to put my pencil on point P, and sure enough, that is a rotation. This one, though, asks you to determine the angle of rotation. And one way you can do that is by drawing a ray from P through vertex A. And then I'm going to draw a ray through A prime. And what I'll do is try to measure how far the point A has traveled. With my little protractor, I'm going to place it on there, measuring this angle in here. And sure enough, that's a 90-degree angle. So I would say that point A has traveled 90 degrees. If A traveled 90 degrees, the whole triangle went with it, The angle of rotation is 90 degrees. Lastly, I'll do a translation or a slide. Whenever you slide a figure, I'll have to give you a slide vector. The slide vector is going to tell you how far to slide the object and in which direction. So once again, I'll use my tracing paper. But this time what I want you to do is mark this point down here on the vector, point H. And then what we're going to do is keep our eye on point H. And as we slide point H along that vector, we're going to be moving the triangle too, and stop when you get to the end of that vector. And then press rather firmly on those 3 vertices, and it should leave little marks for you on your paper. And then you connect those 3 points, and you have a translated triangle. And that would be triangle B prime, A prime, and C prime.